On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks lose Game 3. Luka fouls out. And what is basketball anyway?
Sadness.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
NBA champions. He is! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day, win or lose. Dang it. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On Mavs your first listen today. Where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, even after losses. Shout out to all of you that are listening after a loss like this.
Seriously.
Best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day. And if you're a Celtics fan with some schadenfreude, at least like the video and comment something below. Got some nice Celtics comments recently.
Yeah, that's true.
Really appreciate all of you there. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Joining me, the Vibes Captain, post-game prodigy from the Great Slightly Biased YouTube channel. What have you got for me, Slightly Biased?
Well, look, I'm just going to come at you with the vibes chieftain, the fan in me, and it's sad. It's depressing. History will tell you that your season ended tonight. There's a lot of, you give them some props for the comeback and stuff like that, but you also look at the fact that they went up by, 12 early on in the game, and then the Celtics outscored you for 30 points for the next, 2.5 quarters before you decided it was time to turn it on again in the fourth quarter. Your superstar MVP, who I do think had an MVP season, who I do think was the best player in the world this season, had what was, in my opinion, inexcusable game tonight in a must-win, do-or-die game. We'll just call it what it is. If we're going to sit here over the last couple games and say what Kyrie Irving did was inexcusable, I thought what Luka did tonight was also inexcusable.
Yep.
So you have all of that, and it's just trying to sort of process everything going on, all the feelings. It's not over yet. I mean, you still want to find some reason to be like, can we make this series at least hard? Can we make it to the point where it's a little uncomfortable? Obviously, historically speaking, no team has ever come back down 3-0. We talked about this last night. There's a reason for that in basketball. It's very hard in a playoff setting. If you lose 3 straight games, you're more than likely not the better team. And more often than not in basketball, the better team wins. So, and we knew the Celtics were the better team going into this. The Mavs had to do everything along the margins. They had to do, they didn't have to necessarily play perfect, but they had to do all the small things. They had to really excel in their areas of strength in the series. And up until this point, they have not done that at all. They have not gotten a superstar tandem performance where both guys really show up. I know they both scored a lot of points tonight. I don't leave the game feeling as if they got a superstar dynamic performance from both of their guys. And you're down 3-0 now. So
it's tough for a team when you only have 2 guys that can dribble and one of them fouls out. Their offense, again, just was not good enough. 108.8 points per 100 possessions. That is 30th percentile in offense. It's not good enough. The way that they, couldn't find ways to score. What they did early on that worked. They just got to the rim and attacked and attacked and attacked and attacked. And the Celtics were almost caught off guard with the Mavs' energy. Oh my gosh, all of a sudden this team is just driving by us. Luka and Kyrie getting to the rim, getting guys open, passing guys open basically at certain points. And that's cool. But then all of a sudden, if those are your only 2 guys and that's the only way you can score, that runs out eventually. You cannot play 2K and just attack over and over again, especially if they're attacking you on the other end, and the Celtics are doing that over and over again. Where in the Celtics side of things, they're not getting attacked over and over again because their 2 best offensive players are also solid defenders and super athletic guys. It's just hard. And they've insulated them. They struggle at times clutch in the clutch and scoring and things that Luka and Kyrie can do, scoring one-on-one, but they've made it so that those guys don't have to do that as often because they score in other ways. They have other guys that can get shots. They have a good offensive process, and I thought the Mavs offensive process let them down in this. You get to this point and you go, all right, Luka and Kyrie are our scheme. Okay, that's not enough at this level.
And I mean, we're going to talk about it eventually, so we might as well just get there now. Were Exum's minutes so bad in the first half of this game? I do not get it. Tim Hardaway Jr. played 20 minutes in this game. What did I just watch? I tweeted out, are they tanking? I'm like, what are they seeing? And I think it goes back to what I've been telling you all season long. They think he's a plus positive defender.
Tim.
Tim.
Yeah.
They believe that to be true.
We've talked about that a lot.
Like, you can see it when they make defensive-minded adjustments or substitutions before, like, timeouts and stuff. Tim will be out on the court. And it's like, oh, they think that he's, like, actually, like, really defending at a high level. And, a couple drives and shots from Tim where it's just, especially, like, in that fourth quarter, he took that one baseline fall-away midway jump where the team's trying to come back, and it's like, that's a horrible shot anytime he shoots it. He missed his open threes tonight. I've been easy on Tim, I feel like. We talked about it last night that there's just like a point in the season that he was the sixth man of the year favorite.
Yeah, him and Kyrie had a 40-point game together.
Yeah, I mean, and there's just not a thing this postseason that has led me to believe that Tim Hardaway Jr. should see 20 minutes. Your life is on the line, man. And I'm just, you played 11 guys in this game. Like, were you really? I guess so. I guess the Mavericks were that lost in this series. 11 guys in a do-or-die finals game is nuts.
That's the thing, is that your offensive process was not very good because it's only Luka and Kyrie do things, and that's the offense at times. And then you didn't know who your top 8 guys was.
Yeah, we thought that they might have.
We thought they did know who they were, and then
Maxey turned into a pumpkin.
They went away from Maxey.
Well, yeah, because he turned into a pumpkin because he was not doing anything.
Iztok and I were walking after the game, and a female fan walks by and is like, "What was Maxey Kleber even doing in this game?" And I was like, "You know what? I'm with you. I'm with you on that." They went away from Derrick Jones Jr., which I was kind of surprised by.
Yeah, 15 minutes. Wow.
He didn't play. Did he even play barely in the second half at all? It didn't feel like. He played 5 minutes. So he played the first 5 minutes of the second half, and that was it. So Kidd was just like throwing stuff against the wall at this point. It did not feel like a team that said, all right, we were close in game 2. It's a team that looked like they came out and said, we can't hang with these guys. We've got to throw ish against the fan.
Yeah. And like I said, I respect their comeback, but just being in the building and watching their body language during timeouts, walking back to the bench, it honest to God felt like a team that knew that they were just completely outmatched and that their season was more than likely over. And even the fans could sense it. Like at halftime, they're up 1 point, but you could just feel in the arena, everyone's like, oh my God, they should be up by 10 points right now. Like this feels very uncomfortable and unsafe. And it was. Like you could just sense it. You could just sense the avalanche coming.
Because you can't go on scoring droughts against this Celtics team. And they just did over and over again. They just couldn't find ways to score. They couldn't find ways to get the ball in the basket. And, man, the Mavs defense was not super good at certain moments in this game. But you look at their offense, and their offense, let them down again. It's still 115 defensive rating for the Mavericks. That's still winnable, right? Yeah. It's again, it's the same thing that they had in games 1 and 2, except for their offense just came up short again.
Yeah, it was just – an offensive disaster class yet again.
The thing about this Mavericks team is that we did not expect them to be here. You don't want to do we're happy to be here, glad they made the finals, all that. The thing is, though, this team is a year ahead of where they were supposed to be.
I disagree with that.
That they were just that we didn't
before
expect
the start
them to be
of the
here?
Season, we didn't necessarily. But from the
start of the playoffs, we didn't think that they were going to be the finals.
Post All-Star break, post trade deadline, moving forward, they were performing like a team that could make the NBA Finals.
That's true. They were performing like it, but I still looked at this team and I said several times, man, I think they're one score short from a real finals run. And then they got the matchups that worked for them and figured that out on the way there. And they are now they are the one scorer short.
Yes, they are definitely a scorer short. It's just the truth. I mean, that's just what it is. You watch the Celtics, and anytime one of their guys touches the ball, they're driving, they're attacking. Any of them can do anything. They can pass, they can shoot, they can attack the rim and finish. And then the Mavericks, if it's not Luka or Kyrie, it is just a fiasco.
It's not even there's not even motion.
Yeah, it's scary.
It's not even motion, twin. It's just they just grab the ball and they stand there, and then they're like, all right, we'll pass here. And the reason why the Mavericks are where they are right now, down 0-3 in the NBA Finals.
And not really that competitive of a series.
Luka's injuries have been brutal.
Yeah.
Right? He's not 100%. You've got one less offensive weapon than you desperately need. The Celtics are a bad matchup and much worse than I expected, obviously. And then you've got everything has gone right for the Celtics basically. And
I wouldn't even say that. They're not shooting well from 3. Compared to their
all the little
numbers.
matchup things, I think have gone well for them.
Yeah,
and
true.
then none of the things that the Mavericks needed to go right have been right. They have a couple guys that just cannot play, and a bunch of their. Let me restate this whole point. The Luka's injuries They're one less offensive player short. Really bad matchup against the Celtics team. And there's multiple players on the Mavericks that were not ready for this stage. Mm-hmm. That were like, okay, like Josh Green, not ready. He was playing 18 minutes a game before this, and kid did not play him in the first half. And Tim is not ready for this stage because he hasn't played in the playoffs, basically. And Jaden Hardy couldn't play him. Dante Exum, you couldn't play him. Derrick Jones Jr., apparently you can't play him in the second half of this game. And it came player after player after player. And, good experience for this team, but this is the reason why they're down at this point. But coming up, let's talk about how they got here. Let's talk about through the game. Let's talk about how they ended up down 20 and then cut it to 2 or cut it to 3 at a certain point. We'll talk about all that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and you can get $20 off your first purchase. Game Time, they have all kinds of tickets for going to Dallas Wings games. I'm probably going to a Dallas Wings game on Thursday to watch this basketball brutal loss out of my brain, out of my mouth, and everything. So I'm gonna probably use Game Time and get my tickets, because on Game Time you can get the priority tickets, you can get flash deals, zone deals, all in pricing, so you know that you are getting the final price right up front. You can check all in pricing. I like that. They also have the Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticket industry. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA Finals tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. Appreciate each and every one of you, especially for listening after a loss like this. Again, if you're a Celtics fan, welcome. If you have a shamrock in your avatar or your Avi or your display name or whatever, welcome. Welcome here. Let's talk about how this team got to this point in this game, because they started out of the gate up 25-12, and they were just attacking over and over again. At that point, what were you feeling about this Mavericks team when they came out of the gate like that?
I thought that they were going to win the game. I thought the energy in the arena from tip-off was great. Absolutely incredible. I mean, like it felt like the Mavericks maybe not found something, but they were playing with that extra intensity of a team that was down 2-0 with their season on the line. And like you said, they were just relentlessly attacking. Kyrie got going early, and that's exactly what I thought the Mavs needed, just from also not just a Kyrie standpoint, but just from a confidence, the team confidence-wise, seeing Kyrie get going was nice. And the Celtics started to mount a comeback a little bit. You could just sense the defensive intensity of the Mavericks was slipping.
It was quick.
And it was quick. And the energy in the arena just shifted because you could just feel it. You could just feel an avalanche brewing. And then the second half started, and
it was
third quarter, man.
Even before the second half. So the first quarter, they're up 4 minutes and 48 seconds left in the first. They're up 25-12, and you're like, all right, they've been attacking, 25 points, 18 points of those were in the paint. Insane. By 2:23, so 2 minutes and 25 seconds later, it was a 2-point game.
Yep.
11 points in 2 minutes, basically, right there. Like, just quick. And that's what the Celtics can do. They hit a couple of threes, they get stops, and they get out in transition. They're more athletic, and yeah, they've just been better.
It just went to the margin of error for the Mavs, because I'll have to look at the play-by-play, but it felt like a lot of Luka step-back threes towards the end of that first quarter that didn't go, and those long rebounds turned to points every single time. Every single time, because the Mavericks either weren't ready to get back on defense or guys were laying down on the perimeter trying to draw foul calls, and it just led to easy points. And the next thing you know, like you said, that 11, 12-point lead turned into 1, and it felt at the end of the first quarter, it was like they should be up by way more than 1 point.
Yeah, at halftime, it was, what, a 1-point game? And
1 point game.
You go, oh boy, that is not making me feel better.
Yeah, they need to make they need to act like they're down 20. Like that should be the adjustment level that they're making at halftime.
And Kyrie was doing well at halftime. Like, Kyrie was shooting the ball better. He had a couple of shots, a couple of threes in the second quarter where you go, all right, let's go. He was 8 of 14 in the first half, 20 points for him, which means what he finished with, 36, 35. He had 15 in the second half. This is the Kyrie. You finally got like a Kyrie game where he was hitting.
Yeah.
He hit 4 of 6 threes, went to the free throw line 5 times. One of them was that the threes, the N1 three at not N1. He got fouled fouled on a 3, and then he hit the free throws. That was a huge, massive play. But man, yeah, you felt that third quarter was just killer. It was just an embodiment of everything that, like, if you looked at this series before this, and so on one side, there's Nick Angstadt, and Nick Angstadt said, all right, if the Mavericks are going to win, they need these things to happen. And on the other side was John Corrales, and John Corrales was saying, these things will happen because this is the Celtics.
Yep.
And all the things John Corrales said were correct, and all the things Nick Angstadt said were incorrect.
Well, when they just bomb threes like this, it's just they make 2 in a row, and it's a 6-point swing. It's like, oh, my God, that feels like a death blow because of how difficult it is for you to do anything offensively. So
they didn't even shoot that well.
I know.
37%.
That's what I'm saying. Like the Celtics aren't even really playing up to their full potential, I don't think, in this playoff series. And maybe
I'll give the Mavs defense a little credit in that.
Yeah.
I think their defense has still been okay enough.
I think 3 games in a row now where you're holding them to below their average offensively. Like, there's something there, obviously. Yeah. But it's just when they're, a couple Derek White threes in a row or Xavier Tillman 3, like, that's like, oh.
That one ended me.
That one was like, the whole crowd was like, oh, yeah, our season's done probably. Like, that was just like one of those shots.
When did he hit that?
I think their comeback, I think that was in the third quarter. I think their comeback came after that. So they were resilient after that. But
he hit a 3 with 2:14 left in the third quarter and made it a 13-point game.
Yep. And Jaylen Brown had a massive dunk.
That huge dunk at the end to make it a 15-point game, and then it was 35-19 in that third quarter, and you just go, oh, man, like, you started to see, like, the adage, like, if you don't believe, you shouldn't be here, that Luka said. By the way, he said that back in the Clippers series in the bubble.
Yeah, true.
By the way, a long time ago. I didn't think they believed.
I was about to say the same thing. It looked like a team to me that felt defeated.
Yeah.
Like, it just did. It looked like a team that was like, our season probably just ended right there. And I hate saying that because we're not there. We're not in the locker room. We're not in the huddle. We don't know. But I'm just saying from a fan's perspective, after watching this team for 82-plus games and seeing their tenacity and the resiliency that they've had all season long, it just felt so deflating right there. And then to their credit, they did storm back afterwards, but it ultimately wasn't enough, and it was just because they dug themselves such a deep hole that I mean, coming back from that against the Celtics team is just so tough.
If we were a different podcast, I would scream profanities at the Celtics fan right over here.
If this was a Slightly Biased show, we'd whoa. Whoa.
Yeah.
Peace out.
86 Slightly Biased, 86 Slightly Biased. Yeah, that third quarter. I mean, what else did you see in that third quarter that just? I mean, Mavs only scored 19 points. The Celtics scored 35. It was just an embodiment of everything that was good and bad about this so far. How many? Mavs went 1 of 2 from 3 in the third quarter.
I mean, the offense was obviously terrible. 19 points. I mean, do you want me to be honest about what I saw for the bulk of this game?
Sure.
And really this series? Luka's defense has been atrocious.
It's been really bad.
It has been. And I've seen all the Mavs fans fight back against the national media narratives about this. I got yelled at today on Twitter for saying that it was bad in game 2. And we can look. I'm not like trying to down Luka or anything like that. I thought he should have been the MVP this year. I thought he's the best player in the world this year. He's dealing with so many different injuries and stuff like that. That's all true. Like I'm not trying to fight back against any of that. I'm just saying what my eyeballs are seeing. And if the Mavericks wanted to win this series, it had to be better than this. It simply had to be better defensively from your superstar player who they're going to hunt every time. You already knew that coming in. We talked about that. Yeah. They're going to go at Luka every single time, and man, it's been bad. It just has. And it could be his knee injury. It could be whatever. I'm not like trying to say what it is, but it isn't. I'm just saying it's true.
The moments where he just like loses a defender, where he just wasn't paying attention,
doesn't box out.
To me, all of the mistakes we saw from Luka, the not boxing out, the leaving a defender, the not like staying in front of guys, the one where he just like kind of bumps them once and then all of a sudden they blow by him. To me, all of that is encapsulated in that's all lazy defense.
Yeah.
But I think it's because of all the injuries he's dealing with. It's finally like if you've ever tried to like walk on a hurt ankle or something like that, eventually you're just like, oh, like I'm just so tired of this. And you get so irritated and tired of like the pain and feeling it over and over again that you make lazy, dumb mistakes or you'll like, do something stupid. And I felt like he let that happen. I mean, It's really hard to play the level that he has we talked about how they got their offense going by driving over and over again. And like he runs out of gas at a certain point, plus the injuries on top of that.
Plus the fact that he's really having you go out there and fight a 1-2-man war in this series on offense.
Because there's only 2 guys that can dribble on the team. And so I thought the war of attrition really hurt Luka Doncic with the injuries at this point. And I'm sure there are people that will disagree. It's like, well, he can defend when he wants to. Yeah, you can like muster up the energy and you can muster up the like, all right, you know how the Captain America thing in Infinity War? No, in Endgame when he like is totally beaten and battered, and Thanos is beating the crap out of him, and his arm is like torn open, and then he takes
portals open up?
Then he takes his shield and he just like straps it up tighter, and he's like, all right.
But then the portals opened up.
And then the portals opened up. The portals are not opening up for this Mavericks team. Who is coming through the portal?
There's no portal opening up for the Mavs.
Hold on. You know who could come through the portal?
Who?
Pat Mahomes.
I have such a hot take about the NFL and the NBA that just would blow your mind probably.
Absolutely brutal. Just absolutely.
Well, can I stay on this Luka point really quickly?
Coming up, let's talk about Luka Doncic. Let's talk about his defense. Let's talk about what he brought to this game and just what the Mavs lacked in this. And I want to talk a little bit more about the rotation because it just made absolutely no sense.
Shocking.
And so we'll talk about all that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks daily fantasy made easy. All you have to do is go to Prize Picks and check out what is available to you. All you have to do is go to Prize Picks, pick more or less than 2 to 6 players' stat projections. So let's say Luka, 30.5 points. If you don't think he's going to hit that, hit less. If you think Tatum's going to get more than 27.5 points, pick more. Combine a bunch of those, and you can win a whole bunch of stuff with Prize Picks. It's super fun. Go check out and see what they have. And it's not just NBA. So if you're like a Mavs fan at this point that's saying, I would like to think about something else besides the individual stats of the players on my team. Okay, well, then you can go do the WNBA. You can do Major League Baseball, all kinds of other stuff. And you can go check out it's the #1 fantasy app with more than 5 million active members. Get in on the action daily, and you can turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game by watching your sports this summer. Pick a Prize Picks lineups in as little as 60 seconds. It doesn't take a lot, and you're not playing against all the different crazy guys that have all these algorithms and all kinds of stuff like that. So check it out, guys. Check out prizepicks.com/lockedonnNBA. And if you make a deposit of $100, they will match it at $100. So use that code LOCKEDONNBA for first deposit match up to $100 at prizepicks.com. Code LOCKEDONNBA.
Uh-oh.
That's it. Just the uh-oh.
I was just about to say, just cut it off right
Just
there.
the uh-oh. That's all we get on there. All right, Slightly. We're here. We're talking about Mavs. Mavs, Celtics, Game 3.
Whoops. I was just testing these out.
Mavs, Celtics, Game 3. Mavs lose the game. And we've talked about how they kind of got there. We've talked about all that. Luka and his defense felt like it eventually tore down. Like he couldn't wrap the knee up tight enough. He couldn't like strap enough to where he was like, all right, I'm just going to work through this because his workload is astronomical.
Yeah.
He's having to do a lot on offense, and then he's also getting hounded on defense every single time. And the Mavs defense relies on every player being okay, like not being terrible, not even being great, being okay. And Luka was not okay in this game.
No, and again, it's so hard. We talked about this with Kyrie a couple nights ago. It's like it's hard when you made it this far, and you're talking about a finals game in which they lost. Yeah. It feels almost like you're taking everything that they've done up until this point out of the equation, which is not at all what we're trying to do, okay? Like, they're not here without Luka, obviously.
Sure.
And obviously, I thought Luka should have been the MVP. I do think he's the best player in the world. And
you don't have to qualify it.
Right, well, I do, because people will get very upset by this. Look, the reality, like, the defense, Luka's defense, and I do think I've watched my words on this, and I've said the team needs to do X, Y, and Z. Really, what I've been saying is Luka. And I'll say it after tonight. Luka's defense has killed them in this series. It absolutely has. He just has had such a hard time keeping guys in front of him. And I get it's part of their defensive plan. I've seen Mavs fans say this on Twitter to funnel guys. Here's the thing: the rim protectors are not under the basket.
No, they're not.
And Kidd came out and said we have to do a better job playing perimeter defense.
They were a little bit more with Tillman out there.
Right, with Xavier Tillman out there.
When they did that, they were able to do a little bit more. And Lively was under the rim just a little more. So they were able to do it. But still, you've got to give up some kind of resistance. And I understand why some Mavs fans are frustrated with the national narrative. Oh, Luka's so trash on defense.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't been.
Exactly.
He hasn't been this whole run. He's been at times.
They would not be in the finals.
There have been games where he has not been good. But like I just said, the Mavs defense is reliant on every player in their position being good enough. Like just good enough. And at times, Luka has been a solid defender. I mean, he guarded Kawhi, and you were like, oh my God, like he's doing a great job. And Kawhi was dealing with injuries, but he also was still like he could still do Kawhi things. And it's frustrating because it seems like once you get to this stage and then it confirms all the biases that anyone ever had, where you're like, okay, I thought going into this that Luka had terrible defense and he was just as bad as Trae Young and all that. But it doesn't erase all of it. It doesn't have to erase all the things he did to get there. Like you said, just because they are overmatched and not playing well in this finals means that it erases everything else that happened up to this point.
Right, but that's unfortunately how it usually unfolds. At least right now. Like in the coming weeks and months, it won't be like that. But like it's just I'm saying this from a Mavs fan perspective that I don't want to criticize Luka's defense, and I don't want people to take it as me saying that, oh, the whole season X, Y, and Z, like like he's done this and that. Like I'm just wanting to preface it so I don't get destroyed by Mavs fans because that's not what I want. Like, you know, people who don't watch the Mavericks really will not fully understand.
If at the end of this run you're out on Slightly Biased, I've got nothing to say to you.
If you think I'm a Luka hater at the end of this, I'm sorry. But we talk about the games, we examine the games, we rewatch the games. Yeah. Like, it just is true that his defense during this particular series
has been bad.
And, you know, it's not a good matchup for him. Everyone's athletic on the Celtics. Everybody is quick. You know, they can get past you in a second. And those aren't the guys that Luka is particularly great against. And unfortunately, it's shown. And look, here's the reality. And I hope that this game is maybe a learning lesson for him down the line because he's still young. This is his first finals run.
25.
We can talk about he's done this in Eurobasket. He did this in the EuroLeague. Okay, but this is the NBA. This is his first NBA finals. You can't foul out of this game, man. You just cannot do it.
Decision making on defense at times was
and look, you can get mad at that foul call. That's a foul. Like that is. Yeah, there's a reason they confirmed it in the review. Like that is a blocking foul 10 times out of 10. You can't be making that risk with 5 fouls. You can't be frustrated. And that was that offensive foul where he hooked Jaylen Brown in the back of his head. That's a frustration foul. Like you can't do that in this. And it felt like Luka was tilted by the refs all game long in this. And it's just, we can't have that at this moment. We can't. And so that's why I'm saying I hope this is a learning experience for him in this moment because he's still so young. There's, you know, all these stats. You know, Jordan didn't win until he was, 28?
Something like that.
It's usually like when guys really get going. So it's.
You got 3 years, Luka.
3 years, yeah. Or else I'm out on you. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just.
Fans are like, I wasn't out on Slightly Biased, but now I am.
I don't want to preface all this stuff, but it's true though. Like that cannot happen. That can't happen. Your season is on the line. The game is close. You cannot foul out of the game.
Well, it did happen, and they lost. You know, it's like that's why it can't happen. If you disagree with that, then like
and their offense that what was 30 seconds, 40 seconds left, down 3, and it was a possession that went literally nowhere. All the attention on defense was on Kyrie Irving because literally nobody else was going to do anything on that possession. Anyone with a brain knew that, and Kyrie had to throw up a 360 prayer no scope 3 that had no chance of going in. So,
can we just for the sake of the end of this, we got a couple minutes left. Can we just give Kyrie credit? Because we've been killing him for 2 games, right? And with all the time out in between these games and all that, Kyrie Irving played a great game.
Yeah, he did.
He played a great game. He hit his shots. He got to the rim over and over and over again. He missed shots at the rim. Like, he missed layups at the rim. And to me, I was like, man, that's frustrating that he missed that shot. But at least he's getting there, and the process was good with it. He hit his threes. He hit a deep, deep 3 at a certain point. He hit that tough corner 3. I mean, he came out and he played, and, like, they're not in this position, and they were down by 20 at one point in the fourth quarter, then got it to within, 2, 3?
3, yeah.
Absolutely great stuff from Kyrie Irving. They, and they needed a good game from both stars in order to win any game against the Celtics, and they have not gotten that from both stars.
Was it 3? Did they get it down to 1 at one point? Because wasn't it a 3-point game and PJ got fouled? Or something like that. Either way,
it was a 1-point game after Kyrie hit a jumper with 3:36. You're correct. Yeah,
okay,
it got down to 1.
So it definitely they don't make that comeback without Kyrie. And Luka had some good plays in that comeback before he unfortunately fouled out. So, it's just the unfortunate. What I said at the top of the show is you never got that wow. We talked about the 2016 finals on a Bleach Report stream. All 30 of you who watch those, thank you. We'll be doing another one tomorrow. I'm sure that turnout will be crazy. Look, here's sorry if any Bleach Report people are watching that. I'm sorry, but it's just a upset fan base currently. But we talked about that 2016 series, and when you go back and you look at how the Cavs made that comeback, LeBron and Kyrie were just on another planet.
Insane.
Like those two were just taking over games as a duo, and they were easily the 2 best players on the floor in pretty much every single game from the 2-0 deficit forward. So the Mavericks,
needed that.
Yeah, exactly. They needed that because they were outmatched in that series. They just were. But they had LeBron James and Kyrie Irving, and that's kind of in the series just like, well, you have Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, and you just never got the 2 of them at the peak of their powers together. And now you're down 3-0. And I want to say, I just read tweets. Luka's mad at the officials. He said you can't give out 6 fouls in that game. Dude, you fouled 6 times. I'm sorry, you did.
It's tough.
Come on now. I get post-game frustration immediately and stuff. I understand.
It's all frustration. I mean, it's all the comment is frustration. The play was frustration. The fouls were frustration. The defense was frustration. It's frustration based on what's happening. It's based on his injuries. I mean, it's all kind of coming to a head. And that's why I say it's the war of attrition with Luka. Like, eventually it's just going to break down and break down and break down. And here we are at this point, down 0-3. Tomorrow, though, on the show, if you're listening now, you're like, why would I listen to Locked On Mavs tomorrow? The great Dana Larson. The eternal optimist.
Yeah.
Even Dana Larson can find optimism in this.
Well, she gets a day. We're going immediately after. I'm like, I just paid how much money for that?
There you go. Guys, we appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out. Mavs and Suns. It's on the table.
Ugh.